Good day, fish tankers. Somebody asked me the other day, looking at all these water boxes standing around and the equipment, and they asked me, can fish keeping be dangerous? Is keeping aquariums dangerous? Now, there are some dangers involved, like with anything else. I wouldn't say keeping aquariums is dangerous, as much less dangerous than walking out of your door and just going and out there and interacting in the world, I think. But there are certain dangers or potential dangers associated with aquariums that one must be aware of. Let's take the plunge. We are taught from a young age that water and electricity doesn't mix, because water conducts electricity and that can be a dangerous thing, and here we are mixing it quite a lot. Now, the first thing today, I was doing some maintenance on this aquarium. I did a large water change, trying to get some of these tannins from the wood out. You can see it's clearer now. But the main thing, and this is something that happened to me before years ago, I learned that lesson once, I never did it again. When you drain the aquarium, make sure not only that your water pumps, in other words, your filtration, you can leave air-driven filtration on, but canister filters and hang-on back, switch them off. But the most important thing, make sure that your heater is unplugged or switched off at the plug. Because this happened to me before. You forget about that. You drain the aquarium water. The heater's element is exposed, like you can see there. And then the heater switches on. The thermostat switches it's on. It heats up, and when you fill up the aquarium with water, that temperature difference is too big and the heater bursts. And not only do you need a new heater, if you're unfortunate enough to have your hands in the tank, you're going to give yourself one hell of a nasty shock, which is what happened to me. I'm not sure if it can cause death, but you know, it is a dangerous thing. I gave myself and the fish in that instance a nasty shock. We all survived, but I learned that lesson and I've never done it again. So not only are you going to write off your heater, you can give yourself a big shock. So make sure when you do maintenance on the aquarium, when you do a partial water change, switch off those heaters. It is super important. And then remember, of course, to switch them back on. Then there's other electrical equipment. So if you have these pumps inside the water, like you have with some hang-on backs and all kinds of other filtration, if you have water pumps, if anything on that wire, on that wiring or whatever starts to even look like it's cracking or anything like that, discard that pump, throw away. And I'm not a fan of storing these submerged power heads and water pumps somewhere in the garage for years and then reusing them. The plastic or the rubber around the wires gets brittle. It can be a dangerous thing. So rather keep them submerged or working for their entire lifetimes than using them and then storing them and then bringing them back. So that's one of the things. And of course, your lights on top of the aquarium, make sure that they are nicely fixed and on a good bracket, not sort of balancing on the Euro bracing of the tanks, and then you knock them into the water. Same thing, you're going to write off a light by any chance, unless it's completely waterproof, or you're going to give yourself a big shock again. So be careful when working with electricity and water. That's one danger. The other danger is diseases. Now, I don't want to scare people. I've never picked up a disease from my aquarium. I picked up a rash here and there. If you have any open wounds, any nicks and cuts, or you have some sort of allergy in your skin, I'm quite prone to eczema or skin allergies, although as I got older it's gotten better and better. Then, you know, if there's any bleeding sores, don't put that in the aquarium water, because even though you're not going to get ick or fungus like a fish, there are not only beneficial bacteria in your tank, but there are some harmful bacteria around, always some disease pathogens, and some of them can mutate. I've heard of people who had nasty skin infections, couldn't figure it out. So if you get anything like that, make sure to tell your doctor that you work with aquariums. And fish TB, I've been told that it can jump to humans. I'm not quite sure, but better be safe than sorry. Use gloves if you have any open sores or wounds on your hand when you put them in the aquarium. And I think that's also a reason to sort of stay on your maintenance. That's also one of the minor reasons why I'm not one of those guys that says never change water and only do top-ups. I'm not a no water change guy, although I think one doesn't always need to do as regular and as big water changes as people say you have to do. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. You know, that's a whole subject for another video, and I've done one about it. But that's another reason to stay on top of your maintenance. There can be some things in your aquarium that can sometimes jump to a human and cause something. It's never happened to me in 40 plus years of fish keeping, but I've heard it happening to people here and there. It's a rare thing, but it's something to be aware of. Then we've got another thing, and that is also a rather obvious thing. It's more a damage issue than a safety issue. I don't think a tank cracking or leaking is going to cause your demise unless you've got a public size aquarium, but it can cause serious damage to your home. And also, you know, a tank breaking is going to cause electrical problems. So floods, that's the other danger of aquariums. Now, one of the things, once again, it's never something that happened to me, but if you have electrical wires of equipment like heaters or aquarium pumps coming out of a tank, that is something that you have to put on a loop. There has to be a loop at the bottom so that water doesn't cling to the wire and sort of starts running out and into the plug. So I'll show you now here at the back of the aquarium what I mean. Okay, there you see the cord of a heater going down, and when it goes all the way down, it makes a loop and it goes up and into the cabinet where it goes to a plug. And the same thing with a cord coming from the hang-on back. It comes out, it goes down, excuse the shaky camera work, and then it makes a loop and it goes back up into the cabinet towards a plug. It can go back down again, but it mustn't go in a straight line towards a plug, because that way water can go through all the way down the cord and to a plug. Never had it happen, but it can be troublesome. And there it goes into a plug there, like you can see. Okay, then with hang-on back filters, and if you have lids on your aquarium, so like I have glass lids here, it's important that you leave a small gap between the lid and your hang-on back's return. You see there's a gap between the lid and the hang-on back right around, because that way sometimes hang-on backs get clogged, and around this area here you'll see some water seeping over and leaking down, and if there's no gap, it goes right on top of the lid. I've had it happen once, and then it drips down to the floor. Luckily I caught it quickly, but if there's a little gap there, it just drips back into the aquarium. So that is also an important thing when it comes to hang-on back filters. And the other thing, any fish keeper's worst nightmare is the tank cracking and flooding your house. There's nothing worse than that. It only happened once to me. That was my very first tank. It was a 10-gallon tank, so it wasn't such a big deal, but still a 10-gallon tank, that's a lot of water. It ruined that piece of furniture for sure. So what I would say is, especially if you're buying second-hand tanks, or even if you buy new tanks, I would get myself a sheet of styrofoam, put it on the garage floor, and just leak test the tank by filling it up with a garden hose and leaving it there overnight, just to make sure it hasn't got any leaks. And then where you put your aquarium, how you place it is important. It's got to be on a flat surface, preferably level, but it's not absolutely necessary that the aquarium must be absolutely level. We see these days even unusual aquascapes where the tank is lying diagonally like that in some specialist applications. But you must have a flat surface. It must stand on a flat surface, whether it's a dedicated cabinet like here, or it's a very sturdy piece of furniture for smaller aquariums. That surface that it stands on must be absolutely flat. There must be no knobs. Sometimes, you know, wooden furniture, a sheet of wood can make these knots, and then there is a wobble or a knobble there, and that causes a pressure point. Or maybe in a cabinet, just a screw or bolt that's a little bit above the surface, it causes a pressure point. Or even the angle iron frame on which the aquarium stands. Sometimes there's a welding joint, and if you don't have anything between the glass and that, causes a pressure point as well and cracks the glass. So must be a flat surface, and put something underneath your aquarium. Now that we get specialized aquarium mats, similar to a yoga mat. Yoga mat will work as well. Put that between the cabinet or the stand and the aquarium. Use a little aquarium mat. And as long as you don't have a tank with a rim on the bottom, I find a piece of styrofoam like I have here also quite works well. This is not a rim that you see over here. It is actually just the trim of a tank. A rim goes in underneath the tank bottom. This one is just around the bottom of a tank. Underneath it's just flat glass here, so I can use this piece of styrofoam. I must just hide it. It looks ugly, or find a way to do that. I just haven't gotten around to it. So you can use a sheet of styrofoam. You can use an aquarium mat. If you have a tank that's got a rim, we don't have many of them in South Africa. We do have them here and there, but some of these Boyo tanks, like you see, has got a rim on the bottom. You can use an aquarium mat just to protect your furniture, not a piece of styrofoam, because it will sink into the piece of styrofoam and the styrofoam will push up against a floating bottom. So rimmed aquariums, put it on an aquarium mat. Rimless tanks, also an aquarium mat, but you can put them on a piece of styrofoam if that is what you've got available, but just something there to make sure a pressure point doesn't develop. Also, smaller rocks are all right on the substrate. The substrate will cushion them, but your bigger, heavier rocks like you see here, put them on a piece of egg crate material, that sort of plastic grid. That will ensure that the weight spreads out and you don't have a pressure point and you crack the tank from inside. So those are things to keep in mind, but you don't suddenly wake up to a flooded house. So that is it from me, guys. Those are the dangers that you should look out for in aquariums, and that's how you can avoid them. Faizan from Southern Pet Traders, if you're listening, I'm busy with that long shallow tank that you sent me. Hopefully by next week we'll have a nice video on what do I think of a shallow tank and the setup that I've done. It's taking a bit longer than I've expected, but please be sure to hit that subscribe button if you want to see that as well. And we've of course still got the high-tech tank coming. And until I see you guys again, be safe and take good care of those domestic denizens of the deep.